Hello, everyone. Thank you for waiting and thank you for attending this webinar. My name is Carlijn, and as the head of Cluster 1 within Argentum strategy team, I will be glad to present you our work, our methodology and approach while focusing on the thematics of Cluster 1 health within the large scope of EU non-dilutive funding. Before I start, please allow me to give you a very brief introduction of Argentum. Argentum specializes in EU research and innovation funding. The company was established in 1999 and since then had vast experience and expertise in obtaining governmental funding for innovative technology and research and development. Today, while focusing on EU non-dilutive funding, we count more than 30 employees, divided into 3 departments: business development, strategy, and consulting. Our vision is to target innovative funding opportunities and to enhance participation and success in multinational research and innovation projects. As to our proposition, we know that the abundance of funding opportunities out there can become challenging to navigate because of the complexity that is part of the submission process. In addition, one second. Right. If someone cannot hear me, can you please write in the chat, please? As my internet isn't working, but I understood there might be a technical problem. My apologies. I will continue. If someone is not hearing me well, please write something in the chat. Thank you. Okay, so as I said, because of the complexity that is there, because it's a big challenge to navigate those funding opportunities, we have gathered many details and guidelines to target those funding opportunities. And we have developed a unique method to increase our clients' access to these funding opportunities, while at the same time minimizing their or your efforts. We call this our multi-submission strategy approach, also shortened as MSS. This means that we target multiple calls, multiple funding sources to optimize our chances to be funded and to create a rational strategy of non-dilutive funding for the applicant. These grants and tenders can be considered as a source of revenue. They are usually competitive and demanding in terms of eligibility criteria, specific requirements, and so on. We become your partners to elaborate a project that is grantable, that is in line with the developments you have on your roadmap, and that is in line with the scope of the calls that we are targeting. Together with your project manager from Argentum, we will conceptualize and support proposal preparation until the final submission. Thanks to our methodology and professional experience, we aim at increasing your success rate. You will benefit from our expertise, our workforce, and we work with your technology and tailor it to fit to multiple proposal calls. This slide offers an overview of our proposal preparation process. First, we conceptualize your project and match it to the call. If the application requires a partnership, which is in the European grant ecosystem called a consortium, then we will use our network and platforms to connect you with the relevant partners and build a collaborative project. Then, together with the applicants, we will support the proposal preparation and building up a timeline, ensuring to meet all deadlines. While targeting non-dilutive funding, there are several notions, definitions, and distinctions to be presented. First, regarding the thematic of the call. We say bottom up when a call is actually open to all fields of technology. And top down when a call has specific requirements and it is aligned with the specific funding sources priorities. Then after, we can divide the calls by their funding source or their funding mechanism. We split this in 3 different levels: national, bilateral, and European level. And finally, we consider the type of application setting as well, whether the submission is as a single applicant or as part of a collaborative project consortium. Please allow me to present you our team of the strategic department. At Argentum, we have aligned our services to the Horizon Europe thematic division of clusters. And in order to provide the most adapted and professional service as it comes to European funding, we are all clusterized in our team. We are constantly expanding our knowledge and funding sources. And we divided our team in, on the right side below, Cluster 4, Digital, Industry and Space, which is headed by Leah. Then in the middle, we have Ben, Cluster 5, for Climate, Energy and Mobility. The middle above is Florence, Cluster 6, for Food, Bioeconomy and Natural Resources. And on the left, the head of our team is Odelia, and she's overseeing the overall bottom-up calls. Bottom-up calls are, as I said, funding opportunities that actually cover all thematics. And finally, Cluster 1, me on the right side above, for health-related projects, which will be our focus today. But you have received a basic introduction about our approach. We can drill down to the list of funding opportunities I prepared for this webinar while focusing on applicants active in the field of health. So if you're still with me, it means that you feel comfortable with the Cluster 1 thematic covering. In that case, let's give me you a list to different funding opportunities you could apply for. First, we will begin with some bottom-up calls. As I said, these are open for every field of activity and as well Cluster 1. Secondly, I present you some relevant funding opportunities within the Eureka program, which is an intergovernmental bilateral funding source. Then I will give you an overview of the prioritized destinations of Horizon Europe Cluster 1 for 2023. As well as some examples of upcoming Horizon Europe calls, which are not published yet officially. After, I emphasize the focus of the cancer mission, and I will announce Argentum's next launch regarding this specific cancer mission. Then we have Innovative Health Initiative, which has twice a year several interesting calls opening up. The upcoming one is, for example, focusing on screening biomarkers and digital health technologies. We will get to that as well. And finally, I will present you an interesting top-down call for personalized medicine, which is part of the ERANET funding source. On the slide here, you can see examples of 4 bottom-up funding opportunities that have recurrent deadlines during the year. And therefore, these would be obviously part of a typical submission plan. You can easily insert it in the moment that you would be available to apply for these calls. The funding mechanism differs between funding sources, and the budget per project also differs according to each program and call. If you're active in the Cluster 1 area, another interesting funding direction would be Eureka clusters, which are funded by national funding authorities, for example, BPI France for France, Vinnova for Sweden, and the Innovative Authority for Israel. The calls are generally bottom-up, bilateral R&D collaboration for SMEs, 2 yearly calls, and all of these have recurring deadlines with 1 or 2 cutoffs per year. Along the year, Eureka program publishes its Eurostars for bottom-up bilateral collaboration between a long list of participating countries, but also bilateral calls between specific countries. Like, for example, this February, there's a specific call for Germany, Israel. Also, thematic calls within Eureka cluster. We have ITEA 4, which is allocated for software innovation, which can be relevant to digital health projects. And finally, also to market visibility studies for higher TRLs, as the InnoWhite call, which is all part of Eureka. The Horizon Europe work program, with its list of calls for 2023 and 2024, will be shortly officially published in the portal. From the draft, I wanted to share with you the main thematic priorities. These are the main topics, also called destinations, where you can discover that Cluster 1 directly supports a better and healthier world, both focusing on the environment of people and disease prevention, diagnosis, and treatment, combined with all digital tools to accelerate a healthy society on a big scale. Then the new cancer mission of April 2023. This is another program within Horizon Europe. And this cancer mission focuses on a better understanding of the development, progression, and evaluation of several cancers. Both the main destinations within Horizon Europe, as well as the cancer mission, have in common to improve the quality of life in general, relating to areas such as education or employment, mental health, and well-being or reproductive health. Horizon Europe Cluster 1 releases hundreds of calls that have different deadlines, requirements, and funding budgets per project. On this slide, you can find examples of just 2 single-stage calls. The first call has a scope focusing on new tools and care models that are needed that reinforce primary care and preventive health care through better early detection linked with improved risk management, digital technologies, occupational health aspects, patient participation and empowerment, incentives, well-being, and integrated community-based sustainable health and care approaches. New elderly care systems and services should be taken in account. The scope of the second call in very short sentence, is to develop an advanced broad-spectrum antiviral compounds and develop novel approaches to the development of such compounds, which target viruses that lack, for example, effective therapeutics with high epidemic or pandemic potential for the EU. Within the cancer mission list of goals, here we have 2 examples. The first scope is focusing on a better understanding of tumor-host interactions, underpinning the development and progression of cancer, including in an advanced disease, focus on poorly understood cancers and cancer subtypes, including in children and adults. The second scope is focusing on design and conduct academic, investigator, pragmatic clinical trials to deliver effective and evidence-based diagnostic interventions for implementation by healthcare systems at regional or national level. The chosen diagnostic interventions should be affordable and adapted to the specifics of the provision of care at the local, regional, or national level. The trial endpoints should support overall survival, patient-preferred clinical benefit, patient-reported outcomes, and quality of life issues considered important by and for patients and their caregivers. Such endpoints should be defined together with patients and with their caregivers through research models that use open knowledge, or social innovation systems, and support end-user engagements, such as living labs. These topics, as you hear, are pretty large, and you can imagine not a single entity can comply with all of these requirements. So the plan for companies and research institutes would be to design a group of interesting partners together, a consortium, and to design a project that fits both the goal and each participant. Next month, in November, Argentum is planning to hold a launch of the specific cancer mission calls in order to establish such collaborative project within the cancer mission. The following topics are under consideration for inclusion in the next IHI, Innovative Health Initiative calls for proposals, which they plan to launch at the end of 2022 and the beginning of 2023. By then, the exact call text, funding budget per call, and deadline will be accessible. The IHI is publishing the draft topic text in advance of the official call launch on their website to give potential applicants additional time to start building a consortium and to start drafting a proposal. It's important for me to mention that such drafts are significant. The drafts of these call texts, by the time that a large consortia call gets published, it's usually already quite close to the deadline. Therefore, we already try to engage our clients in consortia even before a call gets published officially. Finally, ERA Permit is an ERANet co-fund that seeks to promote excellence and enhance European collaboration. ERA Permit stands for Personalized Medicine, aims to foster research on prevention in personalized medicine. An example of research areas targeted by a call can be personalized prevention that considers both individual susceptibility, difficult word, to the risk of disease, for example, depending on the genomic, environmental background or lifestyle, together with its perceived value and benefits, such as cultural and also social factors. Eligible participants would be public organizations, private companies, and independent researchers are also eligible, depending on the country. You can find all details in the regulations of the Annex 2 of the call. The setting of the consortium of the application would be 3 to 6 partners from at least 3 different countries. The maximum of 2 partners from the same country and 2 partners should be from the EU or from the associated countries list. The total available budget for the ERA permit is about 30 million euros. Typical funded projects under this call have about millions of euros of requested funding. And the funding mechanism itself is based on national funding agencies. And you can think about eligible costs and funding provisions. These vary according to the respective funding organizations' regulations, but in a responsible and ethical way. We have come to an end of this webinar with a short overview of what's out there in Cluster 1. I hope that this webinar was interesting to you and that it helps you to get some inspiration for your next funding applications. Later on, our marketing team will send you a follow-up email, and you're welcome to book a call via the link that will be shared in the email. And I look forward to hearing from you, and I thank you for your time today.